Welcome to Emilia Academy Hyderabad. This is Dr. Moses. Learning disabilities is one of the important topics in educational psychology and perspectives in education. So, if you understand this topic, you will get minimum 1 or 2 marks in TET and DSC examinations, not only in state government recruitment, but also this topic is very useful for central government recruitments. So, what is the meaning of learning disability? The term learning disability is made up of two different terms, learning and disability. The word learning refers to learning and disability refers to lack of ability or absence of ability. Thus, the word learning disability means difficulty in performing some activities. Learning disability in ordinary language refers to the lack of learning ability. So, what is the difference between impairment and disability? A loss or abnormality of a body part, organ, or mental function. For example, loss of vision in one eye, hearing loss. So, impairment is a biological or medical in nature. For example, abnormal and subnormal of physical development. So, what is the meaning of disability? A restriction or lack of ability to perform an activity. For example, speaking, listening problems, reading problems, writing problems, facing difficulty to use numbers and locomotor actions, fine motor skills and gross motor skills. So, lack of ability to perform LSRW skills and simple mathematical calculations and to perform fine motor skills and gross motor skills is called disability. Learning disability is a new term in teaching and learning situations. The term learning disability was first used by Samuel A. Kirk in 1963 and it was defined in the following words. Samuel A. Kirk published a book, Educating the Exceptional Children. So, the term learning disability was used by Samuel A. Kirk, and Samuel A. Kirk defined learning disability as learning disability may be defined as retardation, distortion, or stunted development in one or more of the processes of speech, language, reading, writing, arithmetic, and may be the result of brain function disorder and are emotional or behavioral disturbances and not of mental retardation, sensory disability, cultural, instructional factors. Remember, disability in performance of speech, language, reading, writing, arithmetic is called learning disability. It occurs due to brain function disorder or emotional or behavioral disturbances, and it doesn't occur because of mental retardation, sensory disability, cultural and instructional factors. Let us discuss types of learning disabilities. These learning disabilities are most important for competitive examinations. Try to write down all these points. The first one, listening and speaking disabilities. Dysphasia. In Greek, dys means difficult, impaired, or bad, while phasia refers to speech or utterance. Simple. Dys means difficulty, phasia means speech or utterance. So, difficulty in speech is nothing but dysphasia. So, therefore, dysphasia signifies a speech disorder where there is difficulty or impairment in speaking or understanding language. Next one, aphasia. These two are associated with listening and speaking skills. Aphasia is a language disorder that impairs a person's ability to understand and express language, even non-verbal cues. So, try to understand the differences between dysphasia and aphasia. So dysphasia is related to verbal communication difficulties, and aphasia is related to difficulty in expressing non-verbal cues and disability to understand, express language. Next category, reading disabilities. So most of the learning disabilities are related to language. Out of language problems, most of the problems are reading disabilities. So as a teachers, you do observe reading problems among the students. So there are two types of reading disabilities, dyslexia and alexia. So what is dyslexia? In the word dyslexia, dys means difficulty or notch, and lexia means words or language. Therefore, dyslexia literally translates to difficulty with words, difficulty with language. Very simple. This means difficulty and lexia means words and language. Therefore, dyslexia means difficulty with reading and spelling. So, what is the meaning of alexia? Inability to recognize or read written words or letters, typically as a result of brain damage. So, dyslexia means difficulty in silent reading and loud reading, difficulty with reading and spelling, whereas alexia means inability to recognize or read written words or letters. In history, so many personalities, great personalities, suffered with learning disabilities, particularly with dyslexia. Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, who painted The Last Supper, and Muhammad Ali, a famous heavyweight boxing champion, Steve Jobs, the American business magnate who founded Apple, he was also dyslexic, and Steven Spielberg, the legendary filmmaker, has dyslexia. Hrithik Roshan, Bollywood actor, once struggled to talk properly due to dyslexia. Maharashtra Dyslexia Association written script for the movie, Bollywood movie Tare Jamin Par. So the central theme of this movie to propagate the concept of dyslexia. So hero was American. This movie was nominated for Oscar awards. We have been discussing learning disabilities and types of learning disabilities. Writing disabilities. Dysgraphia. The term comes from the Greek words dys meaning impaired and graphia meaning letter forms by hand. Dysgraphia is a neurological condition that results in trouble with written expression, difficulty with writing skills, handwriting, spelling, organizing thoughts on paper. The example of dysgraphia: poor or illegible handwriting, incorrect spelling, struggles to put ideas in written form. Remember, graphia is related to letter forms by hand. This means difficulty. So, difficulty in writing is nothing but dysgraphia. Look at this image. We do observe this type of writing in teaching learning situations. So, dysgraphia means difficulty with writing. And what is the meaning of agraphia? Dysgraphia and agraphia are associated with writing disabilities. Agraphia is an impairment or loss of previous ability to write. See, dysgraphia is related to children, whereas agraphia is related to adults. A for adults. Dysgraphia and agraphia are both writing difficulties, but they differ in their underlying cause and when they manifest. Dysgraphia is a learning disability that affects writing in children often before they develop typical writing skills. Agraphia, on the other hand, is an acquired loss of ability to write, typically resulting from brain injury, stroke, or progressive illness in adults who previously had normal writing skills. Very simple. Dysgraphia is related to children, whereas agraphia is related to adults. in teaching learning situations, the difficult subject for the most of the students is mathematics. So mathematics disabilities, dyscalculia. Dys, this Greek prefix signifies a negative aspect indicating a difficulty or impairment. It's often used to describe conditions where the body or mind doesn't function as it should. Calculia. This term has Latin roots with calculare meaning to count or to calculate. It relates to mathematical processes and calculations. Very simple. This means difficulty. Calculia means so calculate. Dyscalculia means difficulty with using numbers in the form of reading or writing. Learners, those who have dyscalculia, they have trouble in understanding numbers, mathematic facts, and problem solving, difficulty learning multiplication tables, confusing mathematic symbols like plus, minus. For example, a child who can read well but struggles to do basic addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. Look at this image. Dyscalculia means this means difficulty, calculate means calculation. So the children face difficulty in using numbers and understanding mathematic symbols. Next, developmental condition disorder. So this concept was given in previous Gurukula examination. Dyspraxia. In Greek, this means bad, ill, or difficult, or abnormal, often used in medical and psychological terms. Praxis means practice or movement, action, doing. Thus, dyspraxia means difficulty in performing actions, movements, particularly fine motor skills and gross motor skills. Dyspraxia is also known as developmental coordination disorder, is a lifelong neurodevelopmental condition that affects movement and coordination. Dyspraxia results in difficulties planning, executing, and coordinating physical movements, both fine motor skills and gross motor skills. Dyspraxia can impact various aspects of daily life, from simple tasks like buttoning a shirt to more complex skills like playing sports. Sometimes children feel difficulty to perform some actions, movements like buttoning a shirt, combing, tying the lace. So these are all examples of dyspraxia. So what is the difference between dyspraxia and dysgraphia? Dyspraxia and dysgraphia are distinct conditions, both impacting writing and motor skills, but in different ways. Dyspraxia, also known as a developmental coordination disorder, primarily affects motor coordination, including fine motor skills like combing, buttoning a shirt, sometimes handwriting. While dysgraphia is a neurological condition that makes it difficult to express thoughts in writing. And one more learning disability, in day to day life situations, we do observe ADHD children. What is ADHD? Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD, is one of the most common mental disorder affecting children. So try to understand the symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Inattention, not being able to keep focus. Children, they lack concentration. Hyperactivity, excess movement that is not fitting to the setting in classroom. So they are very hyperactive. Impulsivity, hasty acts that occur in the movement without thoughts. See, symptoms of ADHD include inattention, lack of concentration, hyperactivities, and impulsivity. So, how to deal with learning disabled children? So, there was a psychological approach, that is multi-sensor approach. Multi-sensor approach utilizes visual, auditory, kinesthetic and tactile experiences, promoting active learning and making connections between different sensory inputs. According to naturalism, sense organs are the gateways of the knowledge. So, in multi-sensory approach, teachers, psychologists stimulate visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile. Try to understand. So, what are the VAKT model? V for visual, learning through seeing images, videos, charts, and other visual teaching learning material. A for auditory, learning through listening to lectures, music, audio recordings, and discussions. K for kinesthetic, learning through movement, hands on activities, experiments, and simulations. Tactile. The difference between kinesthetic and tactile: kinesthetic is related to learning through movements, whereas tactile is related to learning through touching objects, manipulating materials, and using sensory tools. So, this is VAKT technique which can be applied to learning disabled children. So, this question was given in previous competitive examinations as a matching type multiple choice question. So, examiner gave two list 1, list 2. In list 1, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, dysphasia, dyspraxia. So, you have to match the list 1 with list 2. So, dyslexia. So, dyslexia is related to difficulty with reading and spelling, whereas dysgraphia is related to inability to write meaningfully, and dyscalculia is related to inability to understand numbers. Dysphasia is related to inability to produce and understand spoken language, and the last one, dyspraxia, is related to developmental coordination disorder. So, if you understand types of learning disabilities: dysphasia, aphasia, dyslexia, alexia, dysgraphia, agraphia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, ADHD. So, you will get minimum 1 or 2 marks in DSC and other competitive examinations. So, dear students, so if you want get digital video classes and test series in English medium for educational psychology and perspectives in education, download Emily Academy mobile app from Play Store. In store folder, we developed a course for 2 subjects: perspectives in education, educational psychology, exclusively for English medium students. This course consists of digital video classes, topic wise test series. Apart from these 2 subjects, so I explained all the basics of pedagogy, common units of pedagogy, which is useful for SGT students as well as school assistant aspirants. So try to access this course from Emily Academy mobile app and start learning. I wish you all the best.